we're huge nerds. So like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, like we could talk about any of these things. I don't know. We just crack jokes and like get the audience involved. It's very stupid. It's very stupid.
Greetings, banjo fans, and howdy, banjo neighbors. This is your friendly neighborhood podcast host, Keith Billick, bringing you yet another thrilling episode of the Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast. Welcome. I'm so glad you could join me, and I'm even extra special glad for one particular listener out there. That's Ian Tronson. Ian is this episode's supporter of the show. Ian is one of my fellow Michigan-based banjoists, and he plays in an excellent band called Uphill River. They are sounding great, and of course, Ian's banjo playing is sounding wonderful as well. I was looking for some specific finger picks recently. Ian helped me out. He sent me a few sets, and when I asked him, you know, what to pay him, what he wanted, he said, just give me a t-shirt and a shout-out. And so here we are. Thank you, Ian, for being such a good friend to the show and a supporter of all things banjo. If you enjoy the podcast and want to support the show and maybe even get a shout out of your own, head over to patreon.com/banjo podcast. For only a few dollars a month, you can help keep this show on the air and contribute to the new banjo world order. Once again, that's patreon.com/banjo podcast. And you know, I just mentioned that I exchanged a Picky Fingers t-shirt to Ian in exchange for those picks. So now that we've established that Picky Fingers merchandise is officially recognized legal tender, you all need to make sure you check those out. It's another website. It's banjopodcast.com. Head over to the shop. I just restocked all the current inventory on t-shirts, so I have all sizes to get you looking and sounding your best as you gear up for this summer's festival season. So once again, that's banjopodcast.com. Head to the shop. You can get t-shirts, stickers, and you can even download the Banjo Podcast theme music that you're hearing right now, along with banjo tablature. Check it out. You can also contact me, pickyfingersbanjopodcast@gmail.com. Write me a note with any comments, questions, suggestions, or offers of what you're willing to trade me for podcast shoutouts.
What did you think would happen? What did you think would
Today's featured guest is Joe Larson from the band TopHouse. TopHouse is one of the hardest working bands out there. They tour coast to coast, writing and recording their original music and making very entertaining internet content for all their fans. Now, while TopHouse incorporates banjo, acoustic guitar, mandolin, fiddle, and more, they are more in the pop folk realm rather than strictly bluegrass, known for their catchy hooks, quirky sense of humor, and diverse musical influences. And you know what? Joe Larson is at the center of it all. He's one of their primary songwriters and singers, and of course, he's the band's banjo player in charge of adding the creative parts to the band's recordings and performances. One last quick note before we start. This interview was recorded backstage at the Magic Bag in lovely Ferndale, Michigan. So, thanks to the Magic Bag for accommodating the podcast guy, but that also means there was a lot of noise and sound checks going on while we recorded. I did my best audio magic to filter it out, but if you hear any random noises or glitchy audio, that's my excuse. So, put your hands together and give a warm Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast welcome to Joe Larson.
I'm from Montana, Western Montana. Grew up in Butte, went to school in Missoula. That's where the band started. And that is also where I started banjo. My dad plays banjo, so I grew up around one.
Oh, no kidding.
A lot. And I was always like, I'll learn banjo someday. It was always in the back of my mind.
Seemed inevitable.
I took classical piano as a kid and then picked up guitar when I was like 6. But banjo did not start till TopHouse started. And then we had one song that was like, I feel like a banjo would sound cool in this. And William, our violin player, his family had an old crappy banjo lying around, so we picked it up, and I struggled through learning one song.
You accidentally volunteered for it?
Yeah, I was like, I've always meant to pick this up, so I'll try it out. So, but yeah.
Now, just as background, I've interviewed a couple other people from Montana. Were you part of like that scene at all? Talking about like the Little Smokies and all of them. I know Montana's obviously a huge place, but
they were based in Missoula as well. So we didn't know them. Honestly, we don't really know. There's a lot of great bands from Montana, like Kitchen Dwellers and Little Smokies.
Right, them too. Yeah,
they
were the other ones I had in mind.
Like great bluegrass and like folk bands out of there. But yeah, I feel like in a way we're kind of like behind them. You know, like we were just kind of starting to practice in the garage when Little Smokies was, you know, going strong.
Kind of leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So,
do you perceive that you had some advantages having a father who played it? Like, did you come at it with a bit of knowledge of like, oh, this is sort of the role that banjo is supposed to have in a band kind of thing?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, cause I had like picked up a banjo, you know, and I knew a few basic chords, and then, you know, having my dad around to, you know, show me some things right off the bat was really helpful. But
and what kind of player is he? Is he a bluegrass guy or what?
Bluegrass?
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I would honestly say I'd probably credit more already knowing guitar and piano than anything. You know, I feel like it was a lot easier to translate. I feel like going from guitar to banjo, at least chord wise, was not too difficult. And then
at least
had
you
to
have
figure
like
out the
some
roles. You know,
control of your hands at that point. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll obviously spend a bit of time talking about TopHouse, but spoiler, you guys aren't really a bluegrass band.
Right.
And you don't play in a way that it doesn't seem like you feel beholden to carry the Earl Scruggs torch or anything like that. So
I would say that's right. Yeah.
So I guess explain, how did your style develop and who maybe influenced you, if anyone?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. I guess for me personally, I really like rock, like Southern rock, classic rock. I don't know. Growing up, my biggest goal in life was to, you know, be Van Halen. You know, I just wanted to shred a guitar. And so, you know, I have all my electric guitars at home that I don't even tour with anymore because we're not a rock band. But, a lot of influence from the rock world for me. My dad being a banjo player, like he always had classic bluegrass on, and, you know, Scruggs. And so I knew it, I enjoyed it. But it probably wasn't until college that I really, honestly, kind of got into the whole like folk movement with Mumford & Sons and Camp. And so, I mean, in a way, I'd almost say that those bands influenced my beginning. Like the first time I picked up a banjo for real was more influenced by them than it was by like a classic bluegrass background.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I've sort of almost like fallen into the bluegrass, like I've learned more about the bluegrass background since then.
Okay.
But I did not start with that.
So when the band started, talk about that. Are you the primary songwriter at this point?
It's me and Jesse. He plays guitar, mandolin, kick drum. He and I probably write around 50-50.
Okay. So I imagine that probably defined what the band was going to sound like more than maybe how you played the banjo.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that because even from the very beginning, we kind of always had this idea, and I feel like every band says this, they want to be genreless, which is like a cool idea, but it's not, I don't know.
Right.
If it's really possible. But that, you know,
they still find ways to shove you in somewhere.
So, I mean, we had, you know, we would kind of write the song and then figure out what the instrumentation was going to be. And so, because we're all trying to play different instruments. So we would have, I mean, the early days we had a bass guitar, a djembe, electric guitar, acoustic guitar, banjo, like shaker, tambo, mandolin, violin, keyboard. Like we would bring basically everything on stage with us and then just switch instruments every song. So it's kind of like we'd write the song and then decide what instruments we wanted to play in the song after the fact.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of where banjo was like, the first song. It's called "Where Are You?" It's the first song I ever played banjo for, and it's very challenging for me at the beginning. And
Where are you? I'm caught up in the chase and I've got nothing but the taste of failures I've been through. Where are you?
So as I was starting to ask about some of your influences and how you developed your style, is there something that you identify as being your style, or like what types of things were you trying to do early on to make the banjo fit in those songs?
that's a really good question. Mostly just try to hit the right notes.
That's a good start.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think that there is, I mean, honestly, we've kind of tried to fight against a bluegrass label for a lot of our life as a band, just because, I mean, we love bluegrass, but we're not a bluegrass band.
Yeah.
We don't want people to think we are just because we have a banjo and a violin, you know? And so in a way, I would say that I've kind of intentionally stayed away from purely trying to do a bluegrass style. So I don't know. Definitely my foundation is classical music, just because I took 12 years of classical piano.
Yeah.
And so
that's incredible.
A lot of, Bach and Beethoven. I feel like that bleeds through. I don't know if people would pick up on that or not. To me, I feel like that's kind of where I come from with a lot of it, but I don't claim to be good enough to like really like let that shine through. But
tell me if this rings true. Like, do you know that band called The Dead South?
yeah,
I interviewed Colton and I asked him if it was an advantage or a disadvantage, the fact that he didn't really have any like banjo players to be influenced by that were doing like what he is doing. And he said he thought it was actually an advantage because he can define his own style and there's not anyone to tell him if it's right or wrong. Do you kind of relate to that?
absolutely. I think it's funny too, because Colton is a huge inspiration
Really?
of mine as well,
Okay.
just because of that. I mean, I wonder if it was even the interview that you did with, I don't know. I remember listening to an interview with him where he was talking about that, and it was, I've loved the Dead South for a long time. We got to open for them a little while ago. I definitely resonate with that, because I remember him saying like kind of the same thing, where he was learning banjo for some of those early songs, and now I mean, he's phenomenal. He's just
and often the parts that he would write would be intentionally incorporating like what skill he was working on.
Yeah. So I would say I'd say that rings true for me as well, which I really love. Like I love, it's something that we've always liked doing with our songs is we'll come up with some instrumental thing that pushes us. Like it's harder than what we can do. And so then we have to learn it. You know? So there's there's like songs that we wrote like, 5 years ago that I'm just now like, I can play it now. It's
You're
like,
finally you're not scared to see it on the set list
I'm like,
anymore.
okay, I can do that one now. Yeah. Which I really do love that. And it's like there's a line and a little cussing, but it's a quote from Ben Folds. He just says like, which I love Ben Folds. He's a big piano inspiration of mine, but he had this line that stuck with me that was like, don't let your instrument make you its bitch or something like that, which I don't know. Like I've always, I feel like one of the dangers of really knowing your instrument well is that you can almost get boxed into like the style that you're really good at. Whereas sometimes if you pick up something you don't even know how to play, it like unlocks a brand new creative idea. So like I'll pick up a mandolin and try to write a song. Yeah. I don't play the mandolin at all, but it kind of unlocks some kind of creative element. So I feel like with banjo,
you don't even have the option of relying on just all the normal crap that you always do whenever you pick it up mindlessly.
Right. Like if I sit down at a guitar, I know I'm going to probably play a G chord and then go to a C and then, do a little sustain thing. And that's how I'm going to sit down every time I play a guitar is, and so it's fun, like not knowing how to play something in a way.
Yeah. I mean, after you've played for a while, like the getting better comes in like really small increments after a while.
Yeah.
And it's cool when you just start to feel like you're making more progress. It's just like a gratifying feeling or whatever.
It's very fun, yeah.
So I guess I'll press you on this part then. So if you're intentionally not being bluegrass, I would love to hear like just some examples of like the kind of things that you do. I mean, I'm happy to like hear if like any examples come to your mind, but like some that I noticed would be maybe the most bluegrassy thing that I heard would be on I Don't Want to Move On.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to move on. I don't want to move on. All the time and times we spent could never really disappear.
Seems like kind of role based, and even like some piano doubling kind of. Is that what's happening on that?
Yeah, I think it's like it's like a. Oh, let's see. It's just like a little, I don't know, kind of simple, almost like poppy riff almost, but we got like the violin and banjo kind of double that, and then a lot of low down piano stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, we love our riffs at TopHouse, the band LLC.
Yeah, like the next one I kind of had written down was that one called Run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which almost sounds like an industrial,
totally
sludgy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of fits into the riff-based thing.
Yeah.
She shared that tongue, she shared that name. She was full of your command, she in every way. Then December came, and the Rangers too. There was nothing for a little chief's wife to do.
That one's fun. That's one that Jesse wrote. He actually wrote both of those. That sort of feels like it scratches a little bit of our hard rock itch, you know, in a way. It's kind of got that like, meaty, like. Just like a very cool, slow thing that just goes through the whole song. Yeah, and that one, he wrote that. I mean, he plays that riff on guitar, and then it was kind of, honestly, that was kind of one of those ones that we immediately were like, let's put banjo on this and just double it. And
that one kind of sounds dead southy, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I see that. Yeah.
In that way, I guess.
Yeah.
Is there anything else other than those that come to mind as being like something that you play on a song that is intentionally not bluegrassy? Like where you feel like you maybe succeeded in that?
Well, man, I guess I'm almost afraid now that maybe I went too far with that, because maybe I shouldn't have said I'm actively trying not to be bluegrassy. I guess I'm just not really thinking about it when I do it. So I'm trying to think, like we have one of our new ones is Song for Walking, which is it's like almost like Irishy. It's like I mean pretty straightforward, just kind of a little, riff like that, which I think is kind of fun. I think there's like some Celtic influence for sure in TopHouse's DNA that comes through. And so, and then, man, I feel like some of the stuff that we're about to come out with is fun. Like I've got a few little banjo licks on some of the upcoming stuff. One of them I feel like is really kind of the balky, like a, I don't know.
That's really cool.
Remember how to play it. But, I feel like the thing with me that I'm trying to learn more about is lean into the strengths and don't try to do something necessarily that is just outside of your skill level, which again, like I want to do things outside of my skill level and improve, but I'm also like, I would love to be lightning fast, role player and everything.
Me too, man. Been working at it for 20 years.
But so I think it's like, if we can just come up with things that kind of stick with people, and like, this is probably too big of a comparison to make, but I really love Eric Clapton a lot, and I feel like he's not like a fast guitar player.
He's not Eddie Van Halen, yeah.
Right, he's not like shredding. And I think it took me a while to go from being a huge Van Halen fan to becoming a big Eric Clapton fan, just because I see like sort of this like iconic nature to like, you know, a Tears in Heaven riff or something like that. That's like, I could sit down and play that. I don't think I could sit down and play Eruption. It's like not so much about the skill as it is about the, like, evokes something different, I guess, than just like pure talent, you know? Like there's something besides talent that's coming through that I think is really telling.
Yeah. You know? I get what you're saying. There's a difference between just being impressed by like an athletic feat or something and feeling emotions communicated with it.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like with like TopHouse, I mean, our William is kind of our, you know, if you want to get your face melted, like William's the guy to do that. He's a great, so good. And I think for me, it's taken a while to kind of come to terms with like, there's always, not like in like a fatalist, like I'm going to give up kind of a way, but like there's always better players.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to be like the best player out there. And it's, you know, not really about that. And I'd rather just write something that I enjoy and that I think sounds good.
Not to be too off-brand here at the Banjo Podcast, but let's talk about that then. If your strengths are like the singing and the writing, like who are maybe some of the influences, or how do you approach some of that stuff?
Man. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm trying to think through a good way to answer this.
Well, let me ask you a few questions, because I'm not really a songwriter, so it's all a mystery to me, and I'm constantly just impressed with people who are able to do that. Do you have that experience that I've heard people talk about where songs are in the universe and you're just a conduit, and sometimes you'll wake up and have inspiration and you just need to like write this whole song? That would maybe be one type of songwriter, and another type would be people in Tin Pan Alley used to go to work in a cubicle, and their job was to write songs, and they're just going to sit there and write songs. And some people can do that, and I can't do either, so it's all cool to me. But like, where on that spectrum are you?
I'd say it's like, I mean, I think it's a bit of a mix. I think that it's more on the first realm, where it's like, sometimes inspiration will just hit and I'll write something, but I'm trying to make it more of the second one, because I do believe that there's something to be said for just putting the time and work into songwriting. And so I always find, you know, every time I'm home and I actually like spend a week where I wake up every day and start trying to write a song, it's amazing how much progress I make.
Wow.
You know? As opposed to...
Is that something you do?
I'll go through seasons where it's like, I try to be a little more dedicated to being in the studio, just writing.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's always amazing. It's an easy mistake to make, I think, to just wait for the inspiration to hit, because, and I mean, I've heard it put this way. It's like, if you don't have the toolbox, you know, if you don't have the practice, then when the inspiration hits, you're not going to have the means to write the song.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to practice writing, so when inspiration does hit, you can write something good.
Right.
And so
the phrase I like for it is, you can wait for lightning to strike, but it's better if you're a lightning rod or something. It's some version of that, but
something like that.
You got to be in the right spot.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, man, I guess, you know, and I guess to bring banjo into it, it's like definitely grown more to love banjo than really any other instrument that I play. Like, I'd say piano and guitar are my two.
I didn't pay him to say that, by the way.
Those piano and guitar are like the foundational instruments for me, but banjo has just, I've kind of become more and more obsessed with it. So it's like, that's what I gravitate towards now. And that has been, it's been really fun to try to write songs for banjo as opposed to guitar and then put banjo on top. I think it's a little bit, and that's
what do you think the difference is? Or like, what's the different mindset that you have with that?
I think it's, for me, and this is maybe a little vague, but it's less about finding a chord structure or something to put under a song, and it's more about, like, I'm thinking of like I already mentioned it, but Song for Walking. That's like one of the, I wrote that song on banjo. And it's, there's chords under it and everything, but it just kind of starts with that little riff, and that sort of unlocked the entire song for me. It was just like having that one banjo part.
So I'll put on my boots and go out the door to where, who knows, just anywhere to clear my mind. I'll start putting on the miles. I'll take it easy, take it slow. Let my feet swallow up the road swallow up my life. Leave the heartache far behind. Forget the things that bring me low. All my pain and all my woes. You know I hear the road is saying there's a time for everything. A time to cry, a time to sing, a time for this, a time for that. But now's the time for walking.
And then literally went backpacking in Scotland and had that banjo part in my head for like 5 days and just like wrote the whole song, just like replaying that part in my head. So it was like I don't really know what I'm saying, honestly. I feel like somehow they go together, you know?
What I feel like I'm understanding about it is you feel like that if you had had a guitar, at some point you would have played a chord along with it, and now you're locked into like certain expectations about chord progressions or something,
maybe.
And like maybe you would have felt locked in.
I guess so. And what's funny is, and maybe just proving that I don't know what I'm talking about, is that song, like at least the verses of that song have the most simple 1-4-5 chords ever. So it's not like there's anything like different going on really, but it's I guess just like the feel, because it's, to me that song was like banjo and vocal. And so it starts out with banjo and then it goes a cappella and it's kind of, and then everything kind of comes back in. But
yeah. Sorry to interrupt this incredible episode, folks, but I couldn't go any longer without telling you about a few of the official sponsors of the Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast. Are you looking to improve your playing by learning directly from one of the world's most talented players and instructors? It sounds too good to be true, but it's a reality over at pegheadnation.com. With Peghead Nation's streaming video courses in banjo, guitar, mandolin, fiddle, dobro, upright bass, and ukulele, you can learn bluegrass, old time, and plenty of other styles. PegheadNation.com features a great lineup of courses. This is just the banjo section. You can learn beginning banjo or bluegrass banjo with Bill Evans, old time banjo with Bruce Molsky, the banjo according to Danny Barnes, contemporary bluegrass banjo with Wes Corbett, and banjo in the style of Earl Scruggs or J.D. Crowe with Bill Evans. Now, regardless of which one you choose, it's going to have high-quality video and audio production, downloadable notation and tab, play-along tracks, and plenty of tunes. And the best part is that listeners of the Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast get their first month for absolutely free. Go to pegheadnation.com, use the promo code PickyFingers, all one word, all lowercase, at checkout. That's pegheadnation.com, and the promo code is PickyFingers to get your first month free. The Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast is also sponsored by Elderly Instruments. Elderly isn't just a retail store, it is an institution for banjo players and string musicians of all types. Family owned since 1972, the good folks at Elderly have discovered that the secret to becoming the world's most trusted source for new, used, and vintage instruments, it isn't that complicated. You provide the best selection of high-quality instruments and accessories for all price ranges, and then you stand behind those products with the industry's best customer service. If you can't make it to their Lansing, Michigan showroom, that's okay too. They ship worldwide and are always available to help. Visit elderly.com or call them up at 517-372-7880. And speaking of family businesses, Eric Sullivan of Sullivan Banjos knows a thing or two about that. The Sullivan family has been at the forefront of the banjo-making world for decades now. I bought my Sullivan banjo brand new in 2004, from Elderly Instruments, by the way, and I swear that it sounds better and better every time I play it. The great news is that the famous tone and craftsmanship of Sullivan Banjos is still available. give Eric a call at 502-365-5022 to discuss building your dream banjo today, or visit sullivanbanjo.com. That's 502-365-5022 or sullivanbanjo.com.
The Picky Fingers Banjo podcast is sponsored by Bluegrass Country Radio, America's oldest bluegrass, old-time, and Americana station. Shows are curated by real DJs, not computer algorithms. From classic bluegrass and traditional country to the best current artists, you'll find it all streaming at bluegrasscountry.org and on the station's free smartphone apps. That's bluegrasscountry.org.
What are the other songs that you've written that maybe showcase your songwriting and bonus points if you play banjo on it as well?
Yeah. I guess like the big one is the Mountain Song. That's kind of the one that has kind of popped off for us recently. And honestly, it's one of my favorite ones that we've done, which I'm happy it popped off, but
yeah.
I feel like I was really happy with that because that probably showcases more of the classical like side of the writing, because it's kind of got these I normally play piano for it, so let me see if I can even play the banjo on it, but it's kind of got this like it's kind of got these like arpeggios that go up and down. I normally play that on piano, but
it's a very pianoistic, is that the right word, part?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's very much like, Bach and, kind of an arpeggio thing that goes up and down. And then there's a whole bridge that kind of breaks and goes this low key classical, like almost.
Almost like a chamber music sounding interlude.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people climb mountains? Is it just to reach the top and see the view? Well, I tell you something. Every rock and every river, every soar and every splinter, in the summer and the winter, when it's warm and when we shiver, I would climb every mountain with you.
A lot of your songs have interludes, not necessarily classical, but like I noticed in like Better Than This, I described it as like a spaghetti western meets surf.
Totally, yeah.
Did I used to be better than this? A bright youth and a bold optimist. Now all my colors have been thrown to the wind.
I just love how you put that stuff in there because it's unusual coming from, if we're coming from a bluegrass mindset, it's usually verse, chorus, some solos, do the chorus again. Doesn't tend to be like even a bridge, much less an instrumental interlude that might change time signatures and everything. Do you feel like that's your classical influence or is that like a band dynamic kind of thing?
I think it's both because we're all classical backgrounds.
Okay.
So there's definitely a sense of, I think anytime one of us wants to like, we call it breaking the song. So for the Mountain Song specifically, we actually had, when I wrote that, I had exactly that formula in mind where it'd be like, verse, chorus,
Yeah.
ripping solos, then back to a chorus and then end it. And then, just kind of playing with it. I was like, man, that seems fun, but also like, I'm not going to rip a solo that is going to melt someone's face off. So let's just break it instead and do something different. And so we put in that kind of chamber orchestra, like quiet,
I love it.
Slowed it down kind of thing. So there's definitely, and we call it breaking a song. So a lot of times we'll like be in the studio with the song and then someone will just be like, all right, how can we break this? And then we'll just, go in and I don't know what we do.
Find something totally different and figure out how to stitch it together. Yeah.
Like our song Deathbed is one that Jesse wrote. And it's always funny to us because it's like, I don't know, more in the like the pop realm, really catchy tune. And then the bridge just key change it's like an unapologetic, there's nothing at all that goes into a nice key change. It just goes from like big chorus to like key change.
Something
like
different.
wrong chord.
Details are cool, there won't be in the room when it's time to make up and tuck in to my deathbed.
Kind of like what happened, and
That's cool.
it's kind of fun.
So I was, doing some homework, prepping for the interview, and I was astonished to see that you guys have a lot of content. You do like a podcast.
Yeah.
And to someone my age, it's like very internet culturally sophisticated. There's like reaction videos. I don't know, just like Reddit stuff, Reddit questions or something like that. So I want you to retell the story about the airport guy, because that was my favorite thing that I came across from the small amount of the podcast that I was able to listen to.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But I loved that story. So I just want to hear it again.
Yeah. Honestly, one of the highlights of our time as a band was, so Jesse wrote this song called Airport. I think this is the story, I'm guessing this is the one. Okay. Jesse wrote a song called Airport. I remember like first time he showed it to us, we all kind of like gave a chuckle and we're like, oh, that's funny. And then it just kind of stuck and we're like, we have to do this song. So it's kind of a joke song, honestly, but it's
there's a lot
really
of puns
fun.
Involved with
like,
it. Yeah.
Really fun. It's honestly one of our favorites to do live. But for the interlude in that song, Jesse emailed the Missoula airport, and he just asked like, hey, can we get, I'm part of a band, I'm writing a song about an airport. Any chance I could get, the recording that y'all have over the speakers for the song? And
it's like the recording of Don't Leave Unattended Bags and all that
like,
stuff.
Yeah, like
the things that we all
just the thing
hear.
that plays on repeat at the airport. And to our complete surprise, someone replied and sent him an MP3 of that audio. So we put it in the song.
Welcome to the Missoula, Montana Airport. All passengers must closely control their baggage to prevent transporting dangerous items without their knowledge.
Going to the airport, everybody looking so fly. Going to the airport, everybody gonna get high.
Last year, we got to go back to Missoula and headline the Wilma, which is kind of like, I guess just like a little background is like one of the bigger theaters in Missoula. It's kind of like, it was very much a homecoming show for us. We used to street perform right outside of it. So to like get to go play that and sell it out was like phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we got an email from Thad, who's the guy that does the voice for the airport. And he's like, hey, I'm the guy that does the voice for the airport. And he's just like, can I come to the show? And we're like, absolutely. Even better. Do you want to come up on stage during that part and do the monologue? And he was like, yeah. And so it was like,
what a legend.
So fun. It was like
that's so cool.
Legendary. Because we had, I think it's like, it's like 1,400 people in like hometown show, just like super loud, fun crowd. We were having the time of our lives. And then, we were playing airport. And then we just bring Thad out and he does it.
Who's the actual guy from like...
Literally never heard a crowd go so wild before for just the airport guy.
Oh, I bet you'll never forget that. That's hilarious.
I know we will never forget it. It was a great moment. A lot of fun.
Best sit-in story ever.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was awesome.
Another thing that I heard on one of your internet videos is that I don't know that it was you, but one of you was referring to sculpting your social media presence based on the people who you think like your music.
Yeah.
Like in a way that seems obvious. Like, of course, you're going to cater to people who like your music, but like, it's kind of an interesting question. So like, who do you think that is? And does that also bleed over into not just like your social media promo, but like maybe even your songwriting or your stage performances? And like, who do you consider your audience? I know you don't want to be exclusionary or limiting, but like, I would just love to hear your thoughts about that.
No, that's good. Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. So I don't know. This is more than you asked for me. It's like a marketing major and like I love the business side.
No, this is what I suck
music.
at. So half of this is just so I can pick up some like free tips.
It's like, so it's so fun to like, I remember one of the things you kind of pick up on is like, it's really a really nice idea to not define your audience and leave it open for everybody. Like that's a great idea, but then you just kind of find yourself without an audience because you're not, you haven't defined anything. And so there's like, obviously there's a balance there. If you get too granular, then you're excluding a lot of people that would hopefully enjoy the music. But if you go too broad, then you're just kind of missing out on really, resonating with somebody. Yeah. And so Andy, our keys player / social media guy, he doesn't tour with us anymore, but he's still part of the band. But he's a genius on social media. So that was kind of his thing, was like, who do we, not just like who would like our music, but kind of like who are we like, who would resonate with us if we were going to go chill, in someone's backyard, who would that be? And so I think we've definitely found our audience in like, they're like the outdoorsy hiking, backpacking kind of Montana people. Yeah. And then also like nerds, like we're huge nerds. So like, I feel like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, like we could talk about.
Oh, I heard you at Soundcheck doing like your spoken word bits about, was that Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
I'm like listening to the audiobooks on this tour for the like 20th time right now. It's just like, I think nerds and outdoorsy people have kind of been, at least like that. Those are people we know that we can relate to, because we're those people. So it kind of makes it easier to, if we're going to make content, in a way, we kind of make content for ourselves, and then we just share it with people who we think would like what we like. Yeah. So
that's a good point, is that's an important thing for bands to think about. So do you think that that's actually changed the way you approach performances?
Probably. And I think, because I've thought about this a bit too, and there's a part of me that would like to say that I wouldn't be influenced by our audience in a sense, because it's almost like you want to stay true to whatever you're, writing. But I think it's impossible to write a song when you have an audience and not think about the audience. At least for me,
how it'll go over.
I definitely, when we're writing things now, it's like this certain part of the song would be really good live, and so we kind of like build that into it when we're in the studio even. And then
that makes sense.
And then definitely for like live performances. I mean, we talk a lot in our shows. I don't know, we just crack jokes and like get the audience involved.
Just be stupid or
really
whatever.
Fun. Yeah. It's awesome. Very stupid. It's very stupid. But
So overall, if you had to point a listener to one or a couple songs that you think highlights your banjo playing, are there any songs that highlight your banjo playing, or that you think you at least had like a part that you considered to be really creative or like achieved what you wanted to get out of it? What would those songs be?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. I think I'm excited for the new stuff. I feel like there's more highlights for the banjo in the things that we've just put out and what we're about to put out, which is fun. I've definitely like gotten better at the banjo in the last like year or two, where it's like it's fun to see progress, and
of course.
So that's really exciting. I think like as far as like a sound that I'm just like super happy with on banjo, I think one of my favorites is our song Slow and Steady.
Can't always spend your time worried about the future. If you don't live your life, it'll pass you by and you'll lose her. She's passing through. Do I take my chances? I won't get answers.
I think we kind of tried to get like a Watch House sort of vibe, if you're familiar with Watch House. Yeah. But I think the banjo part in that is really fun. And it's just kind of a simple, kind of like earworm of a riff.
Yeah, cool.
But that's one that I'm pretty proud of. I mean, the walking song is, I love the way the banjo turned out in that song, honestly.
Nice. Let's talk about your banjo itself. What's your primary instrument here?
I love this thing. It's a Neckville. It's like, so the story of this banjo is really fun. So I used to play my dad's gold tone Orange Blossom Special, which I loved.
Okay.
I really, really loved that banjo, and he just let me take it for like 6 years, and that's the banjo I used, kind of with always this intention to buy my own banjo and give him his back. And I was at this music store in Kalispell, Montana one day, like probably 6 years ago. And there was a Neckville, like a custom built Neckville in there. And I played around on it and I really loved it. I'd never heard of Neckville before. I was like, I think I want that banjo. And I went back the next morning to get it and someone had already bought it. So it was kind of one of those like, okay, like it wasn't meant to be yet.
Right.
And so I just kind of like, had these banjos in the back of my mind for a long time, because it just, I don't know, it's like one of those moments where you sit with an instrument and you're like, this is the one.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of would stalk the website every once in a while, and every time I went to a music store, I'd look and I just never found another one. And then just last summer, we played this festival out in Sisters, Oregon, and that's where Neckville's based at, which I had no idea. So it was like, I think I just happened to look, doing my yearly check-in on neckville.com to just see what was there. And I just happened to see that they were based in Sisters. And I was like, oh, cool. So I shot him an email, and he was, showcasing banjos at the festival. So it was easy to meet up.
Yeah,
hung out with him for the day. And he, brought me back to the workshop and let me play a bunch of banjos.
Whoa, that's great.
And it was really fun because I'm from Butte, Montana, which is known as it's like a copper. Copper is the big thing in Butte. It's a big mining city. So like my wedding ring's copper, and just like kind of has a bit of a history and meaning to me. And he handed me this banjo, and it has a copper tone ring.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
And I was like playing around on it and just kind of falling in love with it. And he was like, I think at first he had told me that it wasn't for sale yet because he was kind of renovating it. It's a pre-owned.
Oh,
he had built it for someone else, and then they turned it back in, and he was still kind of
getting it ready. Yeah.
Getting it ready. But he was like, it's like, I'll get this ready for you like today if you want to take it. So I was like, yeah.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I love it. It's fun.
So 2 questions. Is there like a name for this model? I'm not quite as up on my Neckville models as I should be, but
I think I want to say it was a custom build for the previous owner. So I don't know if it's like fits strictly into one of his models, but I want to say it'd be closest to the Phantom.
Okay.
Which is, I'm trying to think, it's the one without I think the Phantom doesn't have the fifth.
Yeah, you have
peg
the
there.
tunneled fifth string peg on
got
this.
the tunneled fifth string, and I think it's the Phantom. I should probably look that up. I probably
Just curious.
should have guessed you'd ask me that.
And then I guess I'm also wondering, maybe you don't even remember, how similar is this to like the one that initially caught your attention at that music store?
I would like to say that it's really similar, but
Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, it's been so long. But
Either way, it's an amazing instrument.
yeah, I love it.
What else do you use for like your stage setup? Obviously, you have a pickup. Take us through what you're digging for all that.
So I definitely kind of changed it up once I got this banjo because I just wanted to kind of level up how it sounded. So I used to just use I had like an SM58 sort of like on a, what do you call that?
Gooseneck thing?
Gooseneck sort of thing. And it sounded really nice, but just so much feedback. And yeah.
There's a limit to what you can do with it.
Yeah. I just ran that straight into a DI, nothing fancy. And then, so for this, I got it's the Schecter. It's like a dual pickup. So there's what's the name of I'm blanking on my pickup names. It starts with a P. You can blot this part out.
piezo?
Yeah, piezo.
Okay.
There's a piezo pickup on the bottom. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
So
there's
there's
a piezo
two of them, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like under the bridge, and then there's a mic. That's
amazing.
like also like taped on to the inside of the head. Internally.
Okay.
So and then this runs, so I actually use a stereo cable.
Yeah. You
That
only have
runs
one
out.
jack, but it's two
Right.
two signals. Okay, and then what do you have to do with that?
And then it runs into, Schecter has this little box that it just like, I can mix the signal.
Blender.
So,
Okay.
So I like kind of have the piezo up to like 50%. And then I generally keep the mic at like 25%. And that's been really nice. But it's really nice though, because it's, it cuts back on the feedback because I'm mostly relying on the piezo, but then I get a little bit of that room, like kind of.
It doesn't take much to like really help it sound natural. So that sounds great.
I've been stoked. And then I got an LR Baggs para acoustic DI that I run it through. And then I made a few little tweaks and adjustments on that, but mostly I trust our sound guy, Mark, to make it sound good. So really happy with the sound of it, honestly.
Very
I'm
nice.
good, so
anything else that you're particularly partial to in terms of like types of picks or bridges or strings or anything like that?
I do like, I got I went with the blue chip thumb pick, which I do like. I'm not sure. I really liked whatever cheap, I don't know what I had before. I like that too. So I'm not like, I don't know if I'd like swear by it, but I use it and I really like it. And then
cool.
This is actually going to kill me. I can't, this is sad because I have these finger picks that I love. I've actually been trying to find them again for like the last year.
Are those Acries?
No, that's
Oh,
the
they look
problem
kind
is
of
I can't remember what they're called.
Oh,
I got them forever ago, and I've tried to find more of them. I used to play with these. The brand was like Old 97 finger picks, and then they went out of business. And then I somehow through like Reddit or something found these and ordered them, and I haven't been able to find them again.
Just don't have a paper trail with it
and
or
no
something.
paper trail. But I love them. They're a little bit like,
they're pretty unique.
they're longer and narrower and a little more like off the finger than some of the, your typical banjo picks, which I don't know. I've really just gotten used to it. So I know that, everyone else I know doesn't like them because, or if I've let
they
someone
look
else use
awful
them.
to
But
me.
they're
if
so
you dig
weird.
them, they're fine.
But I've really come to love them. So
Interesting. I don't know, man. I should probably let you get to your gig and your Indian food that got ordered for you. At least give us the website so people can track down your music and see a show and whatnot.
Yeah, just TopHouse the band is the website. So we're on the middle of our Maine to San Francisco tour right now. So
Holy cow.
we're about 2 weeks in. Started in Maine, ending in San Francisco, and then
Gonna be bleary-eyed by the end of that one.
Yeah. But yeah, we're pretty much always playing shows. So look us up and find a show. It's
Sounds
a good time.
Well, hey, thanks a lot for chatting with me, Joe. Been a pleasure meeting you, and can't wait to see you in action up there.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast. The song clips that you heard, it was all TopHouse all the time, and in order they were WDYTWH. That's what it's called. What do you want me to do? Where Are You? I Don't Want to Move On. Run. Song for Walking. The Mountain Song. Better Than This. Deathbed. Airport. And finally, Slow and Steady. Thank you once again to Ian Tronson. Ian is this episode's featured supporter. Please become a supporter yourself. Go to patreon.com/banjopodcast. It's only a few dollars a month and you get amazing rewards in return. If you are looking to be one of the cool kids rocking the Picky Fingers podcast t-shirt, that's over at banjopodcast.com. Go to the shop. You'll see t-shirts, stickers, music downloads, tablature. Check it out, banjopodcast.com. And like I said, that's going to wrap up this episode, so I will see you all next time.